All right, and hello everybody. This is Michael Condon representing the 2 Star Wars Network. We've got your fix. Let me get centered here. I'm still trying to work on a couple of things and whatnot. The 2 Star Wars Network. All right, so still in on Jonny, but I didn't want to keep you all waiting. I'm not sure exactly where he is. It's he lives in the future a little bit, so he should be here momentarily. But I'll let you know really quick while we're here that this is brought to you by my patrons: Rural Farm Boy, Chris from Kentucky, Kylo Ren Flores, Kylo Customs, Mr. Rez, and Heidi Feder. If you want to join them, you can just go to patreon.com/2med2. And starting in September, there's going to be some tiers with some perks given away for some of the higher tiers. And this is going to be did I say, I don't even know if I said it or not. This is the Holocron House, where we talk about books and everything pertaining to books and whatever it is. Right now in the chat, we have Pete from Jan Transmissions. We have Rural Farm Boy from the farmlands of America. And I'm not sure who else we have in here right now. But just still waiting on that Jonny boy. But yeah, I'm going to be doing on the Holocron House a little bit more of reviews and going over some books, because I am now getting advanced copies, press copies or whatever the hell they call them, so that I can do reviews. So drop them when the embargo comes out or the day that goes off, or just whatever it happens to be. And let's see if I can drop this link in the chat in case there's anybody else that wants to come on here and chat with us about this. It's giving me a problem once again. Yeah, nothing but problems. I just spoke with them again, and from Best Buy, and it seems that my computer is still going to be a little bit of ways, because when they went to go fix it, they claim that something is wrong with the motherboard now. So why they didn't know there was something wrong with the motherboard before, and now there's a problem with the motherboard, I think they just kind of fried it. So now they're telling me the part isn't going to be there till the 17th. And they gave me the option to they were going to give me a new computer instead. So I was like, is it worth it to get something that's new? But it's not what I wanted. I spent weeks and days trying to figure out what what I wanted and for the price, and just the best of everything. And they're like, oh, we can give you one with a better processor, but it's a 15-inch and I want the 17-inch, because I'm basically, once it's all fixed and I get it back, it's going to be like a mobile workstation. If I need to take it somewhere, I can, but it's 64 gigs and 6 terabytes or 5 terabytes of memory. So I'm going to have that. I'm going to have my iPad that I'm just holding off a little bit longer till the back to school sales go on, so I can hopefully save a couple $100 on that, and then use that money I save for a GoPro, because I used a lot of my celebration money, if you guys haven't noticed, to buy merch and stuff. But I think we have someone to join us in the chat. We do. Let's see who it could be today.
What up?
Hello there.
General Kenobi, how you doing?
You are a bold one. I'm doing well. I haven't talked to Jonny in a while. He's been busy. I've been busy. So what's going on, man?
Well, I was very busy becoming unemployed. But hopefully employment will be coming soon. So fingers crossed.
I'm sorry to hear that.
It was for the best. So I'm not going to complain about it too much.
Well, I mean, you worked through most of this, haven't you? This is just a
Yes.
recent thing that
Yeah,
happened to you. So,
the last like 2-3 weeks, it all kind of kicked off. But yeah, no, fingers crossed, should be back with the gainfully employed. So if anyone wants to join my Patreon, now's the time.
all right. Well, you're actually the one who got me hooked up with the galley versions of these books, and that's how I'm going to start getting the hard copies soon.
Oh yeah.
I think the next one that's going to be coming out is the Clone Wars anthology, which I have for Kindle or whatever it is that they do it. But yeah, you're the one that hooked me up, and I realized that the publicists that I'm dealing with for this, I think they're the ones that actually approve the books online, because when I apply for the book through, whoever it is that's doing it, that then goes through, that doesn't go through them, that goes to the publicist that has to then approve it,
Oh,
is my understanding of it. So I'm basically, I've been talking to the publicists, and they're approving these books for me, without me knowing that it was them doing it. And then finally it was like, hey, let's cut out the middleman here and just deal with you. Exactly. But let's get in this book, and we can talk a little bit later on. I see we got the Great Council in here. Darth Daddy, thanks for stopping by. And for those of you that aren't doing anything tonight, I don't know if there's going to be a septic tank tonight, just because I'm doing this right now and I have some stuff to do. But the Great Council is going to be having a stream tonight, and they are giving away a copy of Star Wars Squadrons. You have to be in the chat though, or in there to win. He has it set up where you go in there, and you get points for being in there. Like, you automatically sign up when you get in. I don't know exactly how it works, but basically you go to the chat and you get points, or like you get like a ticket, and then or an entry into the raffle, or whatever it is. And he was giving away 2 copies, and one of them, one of the people claimed, and then the other 2 people, he contacted them and they never emailed him back. So he's doing it this way. But yeah, so if you guys are around tonight at 10 o'clock, check out the Great Council and go into that chat. But I don't know. We might hang out here after we talk about the book for a little while, and do a little bit of septic tank afterwards, and then I'll just kind of split it into 2 things and post those up there, so that people that want to talk about the book don't have to deal with the shenanigans of it. But all right, so yeah, we're gonna get into a free fall now. So I know there's a couple people in here that haven't talked about it or haven't started it yet. So I think that, as far as I know, that's Eden and Pete. But we will send you, if we do a little shenanigan chatting afterwards, and you guys want to stop on, we'll send you a message for you to do so. But thanks for stopping by and for supporting and dropping that like and all that other fun stuff. But
see you guys.
all right, so the first book that I got, like I said, it is Star Wars Poe Dameron Free Fall, and that is by Alex Segura.
That's the one.
That's what we're talking about. So, quick impression. What did you think?
I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I was going to. Now, I am a big fan of Poe, so I kind of felt, I mean, it's Star Wars, I'm predisposed to enjoying, to liking it to a degree. But, kind of like, oh, Poe being a spice runner, and, I know, like, I kind of was like Rick said on Jam Transmissions before, like, just kind of felt really stereotypical when they mentioned him being a spice runner in Rise of Skywalker. So I was kind of like, but it was surprising. which I thought was good. I'm pleased it was more of a surprise the way that they they transition him from going to being like angsty teen on Yavin 4, taking the A-wing out for a joyride, to kind of just joining up with the wrong people just to get off the planet, and then as all Star Wars things are, shenanigans ensue.
Yeah, well, that's pretty much the whole book right there. Jonny summed it up. All right, you guys, see you later. No, but yeah, there's a little bit more involved in it. It is a young reader book, or a YR, so it's not going to be, it is a canon book, but it's not going to have a lot of, gotcha moments or things that are that really explain things deeply, like something that you would get with Bloodlines, or just something along, or the Tarkin book. It fills in some, I like to call them gaps. They're not necessarily plot holes. But like a lot of people talked about the Rise of Skywalker. Oh, like Jonny said, Poe Dameron. Of course they make the Hispanic guy a drug dealer or this and that, and I never really saw it like that. And I don't know if it's just me being naive or whatever, but Harrison Ford was a splice runner. He did the same thing Harrison Ford did. So if you read this book, you see that his story kind of is similar to Han Solo's, and then like what we get in the Solo movie. He wasn't a street kid, but he came to this point in life where he wanted to get off the planet, so he had to do what he had to do to get off the planet. And the book starts off, and we learn a little bit about Poe's mom, and she had died. Now, I hadn't read any of the comic books, but I do know about, Poe Dameron grew up, and his mom was a resistance fighter, and his dad, because his mom was a resistance fighter, he became a resistance fighter too, and she was a great pilot. They don't talk about the force tree in his backyard like the comics do. But that's all things that are included in the whole story. Now you're just getting a little bit more to flesh out the character, and it talks about after Poe's mom dies, he has some issues with his father growing up in a single family home, and he wants to get off the planet, and I
mean, Kez Dameron was a Rebel Alliance hero. He was part of the strike team who blew up the bunker on Endor. He was a very gung-ho, action-orientated kind of guy. But then when Shara Bay dies, he becomes quite reclusive, and it's he's completely the opposite of how he was before. And I think that's where Poe struggles with it.
But he was also getting a lot of trouble, and it's kind of funny because you see, like, maybe there's a correlation with, just growing up the son of two parents who are very famous in the Star Wars universe, and then all of a sudden they're not really around anymore, and you kind of rebel. And I'm kind of making a very loose comparison to Kylo Ren, but that's Kylo Ren. His dad's off being a smuggler or whatever. He's still running on his tails because mom and dad are having problems, because all of a sudden, who didn't know that they were going to have problems, and then Leia's working on her career, and Han's kind of, doing his own thing. And, then all of a sudden you have this force sensitive son, and, that causes more issues. And, we can't, what do you do when you have someone that's one of the strongest people ever to live in the Star Wars galaxy? Well, you pass him off to Luke to train him, which was a whole other conversation in itself, whether or not that was the right move or not to do. But so you see the same thing with Poe. Poe has a happy family life, and then all of a sudden something happens, and he loses his mother, like happens in every Star Wars story. Loses his mother, and then has some issues with his dad, and then comes back and wants to get out of the place, and what's the easiest way to get off the planet, because he's getting into trouble all the time too with the authorities. And he there's a little segment in the bar where he goes to the tavern and he's trying to get served some drinks, and the bartender, I don't know what if they call him bartender or not, or if they even say anything. They sorry, I just looked at the chat. This is why I'm horrible at the chat, because I stopped and I read the chat and I was like, oh. But they the bartender's like, listen, I'm not going to get in trouble for serving you. You're 16 years old. And then finally he's like, all right, here, I'm going to give you this one thing that isn't going to really do anything. Or he's not going to get him drunk, but he gives him one drink just to loosen him up. Or I think he says this is going to make you dance or something along those lines. And that's when he looks over and he sees Zori. And that's kind of where it starts, where they lost a pilot and they need a pilot. So he starts talking about how he can be a pilot. But the other thing that we learned in here is her name in this story to start off is Zori Wynn. Not Zori Bliss.
That took me, like, I did wonder where that would come from, like, because in the a lot of like the pre-release blurb, they were talking about Zori Bliss, but I mean, not to jump ahead, but the reveal there was quite a surprise for me, because I thought she would just take on a different name as she became higher up, as opposed to kind of having a fake name. But then it all becomes clear when you see how kind of important she is to the crew, when she's like kind of still Poe's, she's Poe's age, yet why is she so important? Because you can see she's still kind of learning the ropes as well, but everyone treats her very important. So it was, you could kind of see it coming, but at the same time I kind of was surprised by how that one turned out.
Yeah. Which is another correlation that could maybe be made to another figure in Star Wars that we learn about in the Clone Wars a little bit more, but we'll get to that later. But so it's one of those things. Now they need a pilot, and Poe's like, I can be a pilot, and they're like, well, you're not good enough. You're not going to be able to do what we need. And Zori's like, well, let's give him a chance. And they're like, okay, fine. So they actually listen to her, and Poe should be getting in trouble right about now for whatever he had just done, and that's why he's in the tavern having some drinks, kind of hiding out and staying away from the authorities, and just because he doesn't want to go home anymore, because he doesn't like he's not having a happy home life. And he goes and he hops on and takes these splice runners out of there.
They were. I really enjoyed the group, although they kind of felt like I can't remember names. It has been a while since I read it, and I've read Shadowfall since then, and I'm about halfway through Queen's Peril now. But there's a couple of members of the crew that just seem to be there to just add names and just be there to possibly get killed or be I mean, as one of them actually does get captured, but it was a very cool group to kind of have around. Like the big brutey guy, I can't remember his name, but he was like one of those characters that I thought, I'm not gonna like you that much because you're just not gonna be that great. But then he ends up being pretty thanks, Rick. He ends up being pretty decent as the plot goes on, until you get the kind of the mentor arriving. That's the one, yes, Viglich. He was like one of the really good characters until you get the mentor character. So So yeah, and you know, at the end of the day, it's a pretty standard kind of crew that was in there, but you know, it's Star Wars. It's always going to be tropes.
Yeah, and it wasn't really the as of right now the crew isn't that important for what we've
No.
met. They're just kind of there to progress the story of Poe and Zori, but they of course run into you know, he gets him off the planet, and he's been with them for about a month now, and they run into a little problem, a little issue. Um, and let's see here. I'm trying. What am I trying to do? Try and do this, but it's not working. They run into a little issue. Yeah, I just I posted that in the chat. Anybody wants to come on here and talk about the book, feel free. Rick, if you want to come on here, you know, you're more than welcome. I don't know who else has already read the book, but they run into a little problem, and this is one where they run into the problem with the Guavian death gang, I believe.
Yeah.
And so Poe's been with him for a month, and he needs to, you know, he has this plan to get them out of the trouble that they're in, and then all of a sudden, you know, they're like, no, you know, we're not going to listen to you. You've been with us a month. You don't really know what it is to be a splice runner. You know, you don't have any experience. And then all of a sudden, Zori, you know, steps in and she says, maybe we should listen to him. Let's see what he has to say. And was that this one? And then they listen to him, or
it's the trial by fire. Really, it's the one where he pulls off that really insane escape, and no one thinks he's going to do it, and he pulls it off, like quite simply. And that's also where the relationship with Zori becomes a little more kind of deeper, because that's when they start to really work together.
Well, because there's a couple different stories, and as far as I can tell, none of them seem to be really important. I mean, this is a story about Poe being a splice runner and his relationship with Zori, kind of filling in that gap to learn. So it's like the missions as of right now, I don't think are very important. There's a laundry list of places that are mentioned, and you know, if you're reading it, you know, you can fill up a couple pages of a notebook with mentions of Star Wars places and time frame. You know, like they talk about the Clone Wars and cut over things in the Clone Wars, and they talk about things going on with the Resistance and different things like that. But I don't think anything of that really is important to the story as far as we know right now. It's more just the trope of, you know, moving the characters forward. So yeah, it's kind of like Jonny said, it was trial by fire. I think maybe the first story Poe does whatever he does to I'm trying to remember because it was a little while ago when I read it. Poe does whatever he does to save them. And then they're like, okay, fine. And then I think the second little thing that happens in there, that's when Zori's like, listen to Poe. He's proven himself to us already. I think that might be what happens. He just he saves the day, and then still doesn't have respect to the crew, but has respect to Zori. And, you know, their relationship kind of goes,
because they start running drills together, because she kind of becomes the de facto co-pilot.
Yes. So there's a little bit more going on in there, and I do have a couple notes here, but, you know, I never take notes. It's really tough for me because I'm not a note taker. I just like to read it and then talk about it. But with this, you know, I figure going to be doing some more reviews. I need to be a little bit more tightened up, and I got to tighten up a little bit better just off of this too. But, you know, it's my first real kind of review, if you want to call it that.
I've just pulled up my review from a couple of months ago. So.
So
One thing I really did like is the kind of, and at first when it started to happen, I thought it was a bit too ham-fisted. But when they've pulled off, or they're kind of in the midst of, it's when they get tricked. The job that they think they're pulling, but they get tricked, and it turns out it's Kez and Luolo. That was a tough one, because Kez getting injured, and just kind of like that pain in Poe, because you don't. It's something that we see in him, especially like in Last Jedi, Rise of Skywalker. But seeing him kind of going through that hardship quite early on in his life, like watching his dad get really badly injured and dragged away by essentially his uncle, and he can either go with them, but he's still so angry at his dad that he turns away and goes back with the crew. Like, even though he's only run a few jobs for them, really at that point, he doesn't. It's at that point as well. He still doesn't want to really be a spice runner, but he doesn't want to go home. And you see that conflict grow in him through the book, and then it's something that I didn't really expect we would see, but we did see it in Last Jedi after kind of the bombing run and kind of what he goes through in there, and then after Leia dies in Rise of Skywalker. And I thought Segura did that really well in kind of tying in those emotions that we already seen him go through, but kind of doubling down on it, making it his dad as opposed to like a group of nameless bombers. Nameless to us, of course. Yeah. And of course, and Leia hits hard for everyone, but kind of seeing him in that scene when he's like, just before Lando comes in, everything he's saying to her, it's the same Poe, just younger in the book. And I thought that was really well written.
It just came back to me now too, where you were telling that. So the first story, they escape off of the planet, and it's been about a month, I think, and they're gonna get captured, or something happens with their command, and Poe pretends he was kidnapped by them so that they can escape.
That was it, yeah.
That's what it was. So it goes to show the spice runners of Kijimi that Poe's with them. He's willing to lie and cheat and steal, and to a certain extent, to not get captured by them and to let them go free. And it delves with a little bit about how we kind of skipped over this part. The after everything that's happened now, there's a little bit of upheaval in the spice trade and who's in charge, and the way things are going on. So like Rick just said, he uses himself as leverage so they don't get shot down or boarded, because he says they're kidnapped and they're going to kill him, so they let him escape that way, which we find out later on in the story. His father's talking about how his son's out there and kidnapped or whatever, and they have to tell him, no, your son wanted to run away from you. He don't want to be with you anymore. He ran away. Yeah. And he was never kidnapped. He lied to us so that they could escape. So it's we find out that out later. But yeah, they the reason everything's going on is because everything's up in the air right now. Things are happening kind of crazy because you have the downfall of the Empire, and now who's in charge of the criminal organizations, because we know like on Tatooine, yes, the Empire's in charge of it, but they kind of let it go and be what it is, what it wants to be. That's why the Hutts are in charge over there. So the Hutts are in charge of all the spice running and everything that happens on that planet, and the Hutts actually have the Hutt region of space that they control. But then all of a sudden, the Empire falls and the Hutts are no longer around. All of that same time period. That's why you go into the Mandalorian, and it's like, why is Tatooine even more of a desolate place now? Because there's no drug trade. I mean, we'll just call it what it is. There's no drug trade going on anymore. There's not a reason for the hive of scum and villainy to be there.
Well, by that point, you've got Cobb Vanth kind of taking control as well. I mean, weeding it all out. So I think there'll be that aspect of it as well. But it's.
But I'm just jumping. I mean, I know that's far off time wise, but just going to show that there's things. The downfall of the Empire changed the whole galaxy, and we're seeing years later what happens in the Mandalorian, and in this story, that's the whole point. I guess I'm trying to, in my long-winded way, make is that you all of a sudden you have all right, the mafia gets crushed in New York City and Philly, and the mafia gets not destroyed, it's still there, but the mafia gets struck, doesn't have the stronghold that it once did. Well, who comes in and takes its place? Other little low-level guys that are now in power, and things get a little bit crazier, and job opportunities that they didn't have at the time, they now have. And that's kind of where the Spice Runners of Kijimi come in, and Red Dawn and everybody else. So
I didn't, Rick. I didn't.
Rick just said that now that Pete and Ergon, should we talk shit about him? I don't ever stop talking shit about Pete. I would never talk shit about Eden, though. Eden is an angel. But yeah. Rick, you want to come on here and tell us all your secrets, and the that you know about Pete? Feel free. Yeah, I mean, so that's where that's where it comes in, and we found and that's the whole point of the story. Everybody. Besides the we talked about earlier, his background or nationality or heritage or whatever, the way he got off the planet was to become a splice runner, and everybody's, oh, well, in the comics it says this, and then it says this. They just kind of threw it in there. Well, it makes sense. He was 16 years old and wanted to get off the planet, and he could fly. So he hooks up with these, nefarious people, and then, he's a splice runner for a little while.
And, I mean, he's got Shattered Empire. He was at the end of Shattered Empire when he shows up. He's about 2, maybe 3. So we're looking at, by the time we hit Force Awakens, he's 35. The guy's got a life. The guy's had a life before joining the Resistance. And, I mean, up until this, the furthest back we've gone on his character was in Before the Awakening, where it talks about him. He's still part of the New Republic. He stumbles across a First Order Star Destroyer doing something wrong. He has to make the decision, do I engage or do I leave? So he leaves, and he's like, look, First Order are doing stuff. No one listens. Leia recruits him. But that's I'd say probably about a year, maybe 2 years before Force Awakens, because then you've got the Poe Dameron comic, which goes from whenever to Last Jedi, and then of course you've got Resistance, where Poe comes in and out. But then if you you can fit Poe's adventures around Resistance, so that it kind of works out that way. And I'd say if he's 35, then maybe we can say he's done Resistance for 3 years. So he's got 32. So he's 32. That's 16 years of story to tell. and this book takes about a year, maybe I'd say. Kind of like the first half is probably a few months. Then you've got him working closely with Zori and her mum. So there's a decent blocks of time. So a lot of stuff can happen.
And there we go. So that's the big thing that we find out too in the story. The reason that the Splice Runners kind of listen to Zori, and she kind of has they do what she says. Her mom is one of the Splice Runners, and her mom is like the head Splice Runner. And that's where the bliss comes in, because like I was saying, what do I have here in my notes? It's Zori Win, but Ziva Bliss is Zori's mom. So you have Ziva Bliss, who's the head or in charge of the Kajimi Splice Runners, or this faction of them. We might that's the thing that's great about this. They could give us another story about the Splice Runners, or they could give us a comic book about the Splice Runners, or I'd like to see sometime in the future them do put in something on Disney Plus. Give us 3 episodes of a cartoon about the Splice Runners. Whether or not that's really feasible or not, I don't know what it costs to start up production on a cartoon series. Is it worth it for them to do 3 episodes of a cartoon series? Just to give us a little story or whatever, so you don't have to write another book or do a movie. I'm not really sure the logistics of that, but that's something that would be fun to see. Just a lot of little different things like that to fill in. But that's where excuse me. That's where we find out that Zori is Zori's mom Ziva is now in charge of these Splice Runners, or that's why Zori has the power, or she's given the recognition much over Poe, which kind of goes into 2 other people. I think Rick or someone said in the chat, Enfys Nest.
Yep.
And then you also have Boba Fett. So those 2 things, where you have these young kids, 14, 16. I think Boba Fett was actually a little bit younger, who are the leaders of these gangs that Zori takes it over for her mom. Boba Fett takes it over for Django, or whatever it ends up to be exactly. And even though Boba Fett's in charge of his gang in the Clone Wars, you have these other bounty hunters, mainly like Aura Singh or Bosk, who at any time could destroy him. They could just snap their fingers and kill him. But they have this respect for him because of who his father was, and they, for the most part, listen to what he has to say. There's a couple times that they don't listen to him, but he is the one in charge. And you have Zori, you have Enfys Nest. We find out later on that after we first meet her, that she's in charge of the Cloud Riders, because she inherited it from her mother. And that's just where it's kind of going to. You get right now in Star Wars, and I guess it's always been there. Well, not always, but through the tale of like Vader and trying to get Luke to join him, you've always had like kind of the succession thing where Django dies and Boba Fett takes over, and Enfys Nest dies and Enfys Nest, the daughter, takes over. And
there's a lot of nepotism in the Star Wars galaxy.
Yeah, which that makes a lot of sense, because when you're running I'll bring it back to the the mafia. You want your family to keep running and be protected, so you keep. A little bit different, the mafia and doing something as a freedom fighter, but it's kind of like the same rules. You have to be quiet who you talk to. You can't tell too much to too many people, and because when you do, too many secrets get out that way, and that's why I mean, I don't know. It's not the best comparison, but I think it makes sense of of what's going on. The succession of passed on from parent to child, and I mean that's even what happens with Leia and Bail Organa.
Yeah.
She takes over, and we see in like the Leia book, she's trying to find herself and do her own thing and be part of the rebellion or the resistance, and then all of a sudden gets herself in trouble or gets them in trouble because what she's trying to do is already being done. And another thing that kind of goes into like Poe in The Last Jedi, that's something I really didn't put together, or maybe I'm just really reaching, and Leia, Princess Alderaan, she goes off and she's trying to do these things, and even we see it in the Clone Wars. She's trying to, make her mark in this rebellious 16-year-old or whatever she is, and she's putting, the resistance in jeopardy, or the rebellion in jeopardy, because her parents are already doing this shit, but she doesn't know about it. And they're kind of doing it slick, where she's like, look at me, I'm the princess, I can do what I want. And it's like, well, no, you can't really do it like that because you're drawing attention to yourself.
Yeah.
But she's like, and that's her whole point is, why didn't you tell me this, mom and dad? If you would have told me this would have never happened. I need to know what's going on so I can figure it out. And no, that's not how it goes. We're the parents, you're the kid. And you take it to, maybe that's why she was a little bit more understanding of Poe and The Last Jedi, because that's kind of how she was. And I mean, not at his age, but at the same thing where I want to know right now. Well, sorry, that's not the way rank works. And you can't question the authorities or the people above you, the higher ranking officers, because they don't know you anything. They don't know you shit. So like, them telling Poe fuck off and go away isn't going to really make a difference.
No.
So the people are like, well, if they would have just told Poe, it would have been different. That's not how the military works. Like there's a reason you have order. The people above you could be complete jackasses and doing everything wrong, but that's irrelevant because that's not your role to do anything or question. Because if it was real life, that's a different story. But that's not how the military works. Whether it's you sign up to go into the military, no matter what you're in, or you're volunteering like the resistance or the rebellion, and you can leave anytime you want. That's fine. But you might get shot in the back because you might go away and tell secrets. But I mean, that's neither here nor there. But just trying to keep it real for you, Johnny.
Well, I think I think Leia had a very soft spot for Poe, and that's why he did get away with so much. And like, because you can tell it's not like in The Last Jedi where he's kind of goes off and does his own thing. Like you see it. This is why he took command of Black Squadron, because he could get the job done. But he wasn't with Black Squadron in Last Jedi. He was running the Resistance. He was like in charge of the Resistance fleet as opposed to his own little group. So he had a lot of leeway, and I think that was the big shock for him when he got demoted, but still wasn't getting the information, because I reckon Leia was probably just telling him everything anyway. So you've got a new person in command. He hasn't got that connection with them. And, Holdo is a very different character from Leia, very different leader, very different person. So, he couldn't just waltz in and get what he wanted.
I mean, and it seems though, like from this book, he's like, I made the correlation between him and Ben Solo earlier, and now he goes off and he becomes a spice runner and he saves the day, and he's with the princess, if you will, of the spice runners, because her mom's kind of like the queen, just to make these vague whatever. And he's always been there. He's always been the number one, or been able to do what he wants to, get away with whatever it is, because he's been that good. And even then, later on, So we'll get back to the story. So we're introduced to Ziva Bliss, and she has some issues with Poe, and Zori is telling her mom, no, he's one of us. He's proven himself. He's gonna be with us, and just kind of to move it along. They get to a point. The rest of the story is just kind of more Spice Runners story, and Zori and Poe becoming closer, and they don't really delve too much into their love affair in the book, but it does mention in the book there's one point in time where Poe does kiss Zori, and
I think it was played out really well. I mean, this is the thing for a YA novel, and I may be generalizing here. I generally, the Star Wars are the only YA novels I read, so based on what I've read, there's always some element of romance.
I keep calling them YR for young reader. I don't know if there's a difference between YR and YA, but
YR is
younger.
Middle grade.
Okay.
I think.
All right. So it's all right.
But it's like Lost Stars, Leia Princess of Alderaan, Rebel Rising. Now this one, there's always an element of romance. So they had to have it in there. And I mean, it was already kind of laid out for us in Rise of Skywalker that there was something there. But this wasn't a story about romance, but I think they played it really well because they never really wanted to make anything official, but it was going on and people knew about it. But, they trying to keep it as secret as possible, apart from Babu Frick for some reason. I mean, that guy must have a vault of secrets. Must do. But I think, this wasn't a story about that. This was a story about Poe growing up and figuring out his place.
I don't mean to cut you off there. Rick got pregnant by Poe Dameron once.
Oh,
in the chat. I something about that. I don't know. I can't read the chat too well, but something along those lines.
All you have to do is just see Oscar Isaac from across a room, maybe.
It's the hair.
It's always the hair.
His hair can impregnate you.
That's as far. I mean, if you all of the journey to the Rise of Skywalker, everyone mentions his hair, which I thought was just. It's like every book is like someone. They must have had like a guide, like you must mention Poe's hair. So yeah, I think we had to get that romance. We had to see the romance, but it wasn't overplayed. It wasn't in your face. It was really well kind of put in there. And then they have a disagreement, and it's is this still going on? And then by the end of it, where everything all kind of culminates, and it's like, yeah, this ain't happening.
Well, because there's the one point where in the story, it's almost at the end where Poe kisses her, and he's thinking, should I have kissed her? Was that the right thing to do? And they didn't really talk about it beforehand, but it brings up at that moment that this wasn't the first time that they've had something romantic happen with them. That they've kissed before and held hands, and they used a little bit different stuff, but like they've done their thing.
Damerando, that's the hot ship right now.
For those of you that don't know, Rick Villanueva, Cad Bane's bounty in the Twitterverse, he is Cassian Andor, not in the movies, but in real life. If you've ever seen a picture of him, that's who the character is based on, I believe. So I've been told. I can't confirm that. I'll have to check my sources. Yeah, that's a true story, confirmed by the sources. All right, there you go. You have it. So that's who the character is based on.
Gareth Edwards met Rick, and then had to try and find someone who could emulate Rick on screen.
Yeah, so that's completely feasible on that story. And Rick's on jammed transmissions. If anybody wants to hear him talk about the Star Wars, it's a podcast with his buddy Pete, and sometimes Eden's on there too. But just go look it up in all of your podcast catcher thing majiggers. When you're looking up my Star Wars Life Debt and the 2x2 podcast while you're doing it, you might as well go get all three of them in there.
Yeah.
Make sure you have all three of them. And it's canon now. Yeah.
Rick's Fulcrum.
Okay. That's a whole other conversation itself, but we can have that later. All right, let's get back to the story now. People are trying to get educated on this book, and we're talking about Rick's impregnation of things.
The whole thing, the whole kind of story, the arc of the third act, where Ziva Bliss is trying to get all of the crime gangs together, or the heads of the crime gangs together for a meeting, and like let's all be friends kind of thing. I think this kind of goes to show the power play of the underworld post Empire. Like there's no cohesion. Like you get the feeling like the Hutts and the Pikes, that they probably they had a well-known working relationship, but didn't tread on each other's toes. And I think at this point, you've got the Guavian Death Gang, you've got Kanja Club, various others, the Spice Runners, and everyone's kind of trying to be the next best or the top dog. And this was like that. It kind of felt like the idea that having everyone meet, everyone kind of have a chat, shake some hands, could have been a really good idea. But then, of course, it's all a big double cross, which is obvious because it's crime lords. And some of the big cameo I found in there that I really enjoyed, Boshek. He's the guy who Obi-Wan speaks to in the cantina before he speaks to Chewie.
Okay, yes.
And I was like, oh, okay. But this whole meet and greet thing I thought was really interesting and brilliant plan. And I think the only other time we've seen it is in the pages of Dr. Aphra in the second story arc.
When they're this is the actual Aphra comic you're talking about, not the...
Yes. Yeah, it was the actual Aphra comic, and it was to sell or auction off the Jedi Ruhr.
Okay. Yeah, I remember that
thing.
Yeah, I just binged. I didn't get through all of them, but I binged like 30 or 40 of, maybe not even that many, of the Aphra comics before the drama came out. Which is funny because I didn't need to, because it didn't really deal with any of that. But it got me into the Aphra comics, and I got these ones right here by George Mann. Engine Ward coming out. They're going to come out over the next year. I got all three variants, and then next month there's two. I have those ones coming in from Vault, and then I ordered from my comic shop the ones coming out in, I think, September, November, whatever's next, whenever they come out. So, and there's another one coming out too that I just ordered. But yeah, let's get back to this book. Keep me on track here, Johnny. Come on. I'm not the one that's supposed to go off track. What are you doing to me?
I think the one thing we haven't actually touched on is the New Republic Security Bureau agent who's tracking them down, and kind of is the big foil for the Spice Runners, because she's got beef with the Spice Runners of Kijimi, because Ziva killed her parents in some brutal way, and I think kind of having kind of the law chasing them was interesting, especially kind of knowing where Poe's story ends up. Like, I think, was it pretty? Did they say anything at the end where he joins up at the academy? Was it at the end of the book that he joins the academy, or is something mentioned?
So, all right. So, basically, it comes down to Zori's mom and Poe, and they're having this. It comes to, like, Poe saying, that Spice Runners don't have conscience, and they need to have, there's no loyalty there. And she's like, no, there isn't. We're Spice Runners. That's what we do. We're out for ourselves, and we're being Spice Runners. And so, Zori's mom, I don't know if you noticed what I did above your head too.
Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah, right there. Zori's mom's like, he's not one of us. And, she was actually right. So they kind of split their ways, and Poe hears Leia talking, giving a speech, and decides that to go ahead. Go get the book, read the book. But to make a long story short, he decides that this is what he wants to do. Like, this is where he's supposed to be. His destination, the Force brought him, even though they don't talk about it in there, but the Force brought him to where he's supposed to be. Maybe not the way he should have gone to get there, but he is where he ends up, the way it ends up being. And he's at the bar talking, or tavern, or whatever it is, and some guy comes up to him, and I forget, I don't know if I wrote down who it was, or if they even say it, but some guy comes up to him and says, hey, we've heard about you. We know who you are. And that's kind of where the book lets off, or the book ends. So then we find out
it was Wedge.
Was it Wedge?
I like to think it was, but it probably wasn't.
Okay. But yeah, so that's where the book ends off. So it fills in all the questions of everyone, and once again, if I don't see an issue with him being a Spice Runner, but I know some people do because of their background. Representation is important, and I understand that, and I agree with that. But I don't think he was made a Spice Runner because of his because of his heritage, because he's, the actor is Hispanic, or, whatever it ends up being. I really don't think that's why they did it. They just kind of filled it in. That's an easy way to do it. And whether or not they had this kind of story in mind for it, or, even knew that it was what it was gonna be.
It wasn't Wedge. We actually did get a name.
Okay, what was the name?
The name's Zaid Khalideh.
Oh, yes.
Tant says you were looking for a lift. If the price is right, I'm your man. Poe smiled. That's me, he said, shaking Khalideh's hand. Thanks for the seat. Hey, nothing's free, my man, Khalideh said. But I'll get you there. You know where you're headed. I do now.
Yeah. So, that's what, like I talked about earlier with my computer issues. I don't have a hard copy of the book. The book's on my phone, and I'm using my phone to stream this right now. Well, yeah.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know if you were on here. Yeah, they're telling me it's going to be another 2 weeks for my to get my computer back. So we're going on. It's going to be 2 months that it's been gone.
I was going to say, like last time I saw one of your streams, it was they'd already had it for 3 weeks.
June 25th is when I took it in to get fixed, and they had to do whatever at Best Buy and then ship it to the other Best Buy, and then it got worked on, and they had to order parts, and then the parts came in, and they went to go fix it, and then they claim there's something wrong with the motherboard.
Right.
And Best Buy, like Geek Squad away from Best Buy where it got shipped to, is claiming that there was an issue with the motherboard they didn't know about until they put the parts in to fix it. So it was like we fixed it, but there was something wrong with that, and it's just it's just kind of just the big runaround. And yeah, we'll talk about that later, so I can swear a little bit after this, because then I'll just splice this up. But I mean, yeah, so that's where the book ends up. Poe got his way, or not his way, but ended up where he was supposed to be, and it gives very reasonable explanation. He wanted to get away from his planet and move on from his planet, and the only way and the easiest way is that he hooks up with these people that need a pilot. It's the perfect a victim of circumstance, if you will, and he goes and works with them for a little while, and then he, after being with them, realizes this isn't for me, and goes and joins the rebellion.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's
New Republic.
New Republic. Yeah. Well, it's they're all interchangeable to me. It's all the same people. It's all the same thing. Leia's with them all. Leia's in charge of them all, or her dad is, because you have nepotism going through it.
Of course.
And but yeah. So I think that's that probably does it for.
I think overall it's a good book. Definitely a very good book. I was pleasantly surprised by how much I enjoyed it and how good it was. And I think if you've got any liking of Poe at all, it's definitely worth a read.
Yeah, if you're into Poe Dameron, or you want a little bit more about Zori, of course, this isn't a Zori Bliss story, but now we're perfectly set up for a Zori Bliss story.
Yes.
A book afterwards, because now we have her background and we know about what's going on with her. So now we're set up for a Zori Bliss story, which I think will do good. And like we were talking about representation, you have a story now and I don't want to you have a story, I was going to say, for girls, but of course girls can read any Star Wars. Mm-hmm. But you see the way that young girls now are looking at Rey, and girls are being brought into Star Wars like they never were before, because you have these female characters that are these strong characters. Whether it be Rey or Rose, or going back to Leia, but Leia was still a little bit different because it wasn't her story. Where you can argue that the sequel trilogy is Rey's story, even though it can be argued that it's Kylo's story too, or possibly a little bit of Finn's. But I think it really is kind of Rey's story, and that's important, because now you're bringing these young girls that before, you had Leia, but it was just kind of, it wasn't really her story. It was Luke Skywalker's story, with Leia as the side main character along with Han. But like if you can give someone a female centric story, of course it's going to bring in girls, especially if it's a YA or a YR book, something along those lines. And who knows where it's going to lead, or if we start getting Enfys Nest stories, which I'm not sure if that's going to be part of. I've been talking about the Make Solo 2 Happen thing, and how from what I've been able to put together from talking to people in bits and pieces, that it's going to go, this is before it all came out a month ago, that it was going to go the way of on Disney Plus, like the way that the Marvel story did. and with those shows kind of, their own separate shows, but end up being together, which is kind of what we're finding out is might be happening, which is what I've been saying. So, I just don't have the, nobody from Cinnabon or Cinnablast or whatever the hell they're called is hit me up and listen to my show and be like, Michael said it 14 months ago, and not really 14, but yeah. So and I don't really care. I'm not a scooper. It's just what I've and I haven't don't have anyone telling me that's what it's going to be. But it's just talking with I talk to a bunch of different people, whether they're actors or authors or designers or whatever they are. That's kind of like I just talk to everybody and just, oh wait, you were supposed to do this, or you were going to do this, and you were supposed to travel here, but then this happened, or you were working on something, and just I don't know. Maybe I'm just completely wrong, and I just guessed it all, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, so I mean, a Zori story would be important, and you could actually get a little bit more, maybe like a pirate type of story coming out of it, and then you don't have to have, you can get a little bit more adult with it.
I think with for me, I think that we could get some Zori stories, but she does say to Poe that she's still scraping her way up from where he left them. So I get the feeling that whatever he did completely scuppered the Spice Runners of Kajimi. Probably like dragged them down to like bottom rung of kind of like the crime groups. And you get the feeling like they've been stuck on Kajimi for a while as well, because like she's talking about having the medallion to get them off planet. So I've got a feeling the story would be very much contained to Kajimi. As much as I would like to see one and read one, or read, see, listen if they do an audio drama, I really don't know how much we would get, unless of course
I think
they rise up and then fall back down.
Yeah, I think they could, if they wanted to, they could go that route very easily. And, they kind of struggled and were moving their way up or whatever. And, then because of whatever reason they fail and they go and, because they weren't able to keep going, they blame Poe for, for leaving them. I mean, because if you're doing something wrong, if you're trying to rise up through, the ranks, and you don't do it properly, you got to blame somebody.
Yeah.
I mean, so whether or not it was really him, or, it's still kind of like we have the Han and Lando. What really happened with them? Like when they meet on Cloud City, when was the last time they actually saw each other? Was it Han leaving the tropical island with, well, I mean, that's as far as that's what we have in the story.
It is true,
but there's got to be something more in there, or more story we can get, and that's where I'm saying we're gonna get. And but like this is even before it was announced or rumored to be announced. We're gonna get a Lando story, and we're gonna get a Han and Chewie story, and we're gonna get Akira and Darth Maul story, and those were the three that I was saying. You could fit in another one there, maybe Enfys Nest or Bounty Hunters or something along those lines, but and then that's where in Solo 2, we're going to find out, and Solo 2 not being a movie, being the Marvel film, you have a season or two of each category, and then the last series or whatever is like the Solo 2 happened, so and get some good writers in there, and have it be a good story.
Yes.
Not like and I say good writers in there because, give me, Claudia Gray and George Mann and Halder and, just like all these people that have written all these good books. I mean, you can't even go and name them all because you'd be here for a half hour. But these people that have named, and give them make them the story group. Give them, you have the story group that deals with, Star Wars. Make a solo story group and have these authors that, as far as we know, all get together well because they did High Republic and they're all writing stories, off of each other. But instead of having them write, their individual stories and making sure and checking with each other and calling each other at 3 a.m. when they can't sleep, when they're trying to figure out a sentence or a word to use or whatever it's going to be, have them work all together and just, here you guys go. There's 12 of you in a room and you're just writing the story and making the best one you can have. And then you're going to have your diversity and, the best of the best. And that's why I keep saying, give me real canon writers because they've already proven they can do it. And, I'm not saying that, people that wrote in the Empire Strikes Back book that's coming up for the 40th anniversary, where you're going to get from a certain point of view. I'm not saying that they can't write it, and they shouldn't get their shot sometime to write big stories or to write their own. But give us, Solo wasn't the biggest. Money-wise, it was the worst movie, and we can talk about reasons why and everything else about that, later. But all right, so hang on. So for the YouTube, for the story, is there anything else we need to talk about right now? With this book,
Rick says it's a fun book, but they never actually did any spice running. And did Kez survive? What the hell happened there? So I think, first off, no, they didn't do any spice running, but I think there was probably because the connotation of spice being drugs, and it's a YA novel, they're probably trying to avoid the drug running story. So having them pulling different jobs was a way of getting around that, but they call themselves the Spice Runners of Kijimi.
And if there's, I agree with what Rick is saying, but if there's a couple years that pass in this time, and they've only given us a couple stories that we have, the stories they haven't told us in the middle are what is where the drug running is going on. I just think, but
and I'm pretty sure Kez did survive. I can't remember though, but I think him dying would have been if he'd have died, I think I'd have remembered it more than if he'd lived. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, I don't think they really say anything about it. He gets injured, he's hurt. But I think that's when I gotta do better with my notes. I'll let you guys know that right now. And so does Jonny. Jonny actually does this professionally. He has a blog where you have a blog, so that's a professional thing.
Professional.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think that pretty much does it for the book. I liked it. Not in the series of books. If you're looking for more Poe Dameron or more Zori or more, just to fill stuff in, I definitely advise you, suggest that you read it. It's a quick read too. It's the young adult or young reader. So even though it is 300 and some pages, it's a really quick read.
Yeah.
It didn't. See, you liked it more than you thought you were going to like it. And
that's generally how I go into these. That's how I always end up thinking with the YA novels. Like Lost Stars, I heard so many people talking about it, saying it was really good, really good, really good. I was like, it's like Romeo and Juliet in Star Wars. I'm really not sure based on everything that I'd heard. And I read it and absolutely loved it. What was the second? Same with Leia, Princess of Alderaan. Kind of picked it up a few months after it come out. And I was like, right, yeah, I'll give it, I'll read it. Really enjoyed it. I think so far Rebel Rising was the one that I struggled with the most. The bits that like the kind of the part of that story that I thought I was really going to enjoy with Jin and Saw, I actually found to be the most grating and least enjoyable part of the book. And then when she's away from Saw, that's when I'm like, oh, this is cool. So like it's I always kind of go in kind of going, oh well, we'll see, and then I come out of it going, okay, really enjoyed that. So I actually put it in the my review on the blog, saying I really need to lighten up on kind of like my opinions on the YA novels before they're out, because I always go into it thinking, well, let's read it. It's Star Wars. It's canon. Let's read it, and then coming out of it going, I really enjoyed that. So yeah.
I enjoyed it. I don't know. Maybe it's because maybe I was kind of the other way around when we had the Galaxy's Edge books come out. I wasn't really expecting too much out of them, and I was just floored about how good they were. And you know that's I guess where you get into the expectations. And I was expecting more of action, and like Rick said, more of pirate story. Well, Rick didn't say pirate stories, but I'm more pirate stories and more not just we kind of did a job like getting into the gun battles and what really went down, because we know Poe can throw down, we know Zori can throw down, so let's give us some stories where it's really going down and happening. I mean, so it's I was nothing with the writing or nothing with the book. I was just expecting something different. Where it was like that. But
I mean, is it in my top 5? No. But it's enjoyable. It's, like I said, it's a quick read. And, Poe is my favorite character in the sequel trilogy. It's like Poe and Ben, Rey. But I always kind of, from like when you first kind of meet him in Force Awakens, I'm like Poe is my guy. I like Poe. I really enjoy Poe. Really glad they didn't kill him off like Abrams had planned. So, like I said earlier, I was predisposed to enjoying this to a degree because it was Poe. Same as I was predisposed to enjoying the Poe Dameron comic, because it's Poe. But not top 5. It's not going to be one that I run back to read like over and over again, but still really good, really enjoyable.
Right.
Definitely beats Canto Bight in my book.
I actually that's one of the I check right now and see that's I think that's the last one I have to read for the canon books. And I think about a chapter or 2 into it, and it's just been sitting there on my list. I haven't done I haven't done a lot of reading. I mean, I read this book, and I read the last Alphabet Squadron book. When I say I haven't done a lot of reading, like I read the books as they come out. But I had, all the 40 canon books to catch up on. So pretty much anything that's come out. But I also have I have Lando's, like the Lando books, like the young ones. I guess those would be the young readers, the YRs, not the young YAs. But I have those ones to read that are on my list. But like the more of the novels or it's like the the young readers are like, if you put them into time wise for Audible, because I do most of my books on Audible, except for now that I'm actually getting copies of them.
Mm.
The young readers are like 3 hours long or 4 hours long on Audible. The young adult are about 6 to 8 hours, and then the novels are like 9 to 12. As the way it breaks down. So
I think
yeah.
the one that I had to go out and get the audiobook for because I really struggled reading it was the Solo novelization.
Really?
Yeah, I really couldn't get into it reading it. So I got the audiobook, and because I was at work, and I kind of was like, right, I'll do it at work, and yeah, 2 days at work, and it was done. But really struggled with that one, kind of reading it.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Yeah, it was. I mean, that's the thing. I haven't, besides this book, I haven't really read a book. Myths and Fables. But that's a little bit different because that was short stories.
Yeah.
A couple other things, but yeah, but this was, it was easier too because I mean it's short chapters. I mean, I think there's 50 or 60 chapters in the book.
Yeah.
But they're, I don't know, 4 or 5 pages each chapter. They're short little condensed version. So not really reading that much or being too much of a reader. Kind of it was easier that way too because I don't know, I just don't like reading, man. It's not really my thing. Like I can sit down, give me pictures. I don't know. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like my mind wanders. I start reading. I get half of a page done, and I just start like, like I don't have the, it's just not my thing. But you give me an audiobook, man, and especially with the way that the Star Wars does it.
Oh
With
yeah.
there's sound effects and music and everything. And it's like that's why people that don't do audiobooks, when they get the audio dramas, they're like, oh my god, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Where the only difference between the audio drama and the regular books on for Audible or that they do is you have multiple voices, or you have multiple people reading, multiple actors doing it. Salacious rum. You're getting a little frisky here. Rural Farm Boy, you can't talk like that. We have a friend that would be very upset by that. We're going to have to ban Rural Farm Boy out of respect for our friend. I had to is there? I just read that too about a month or two ago. Maybe it was a little longer.
Yes. It's like this flea or tick that was on Salacious Crumb jumps onto Luke Skywalker whilst he's fighting the Rancor, and the flea believes it is thanks to him.
Yeah, okay,
that Luke beat the Rancor.
Yeah, now I remember. Okay, yeah. Because like he was giving Luke his power and telling him what to do. Through biting him and controlling him that way. Okay, you're right. Yeah.
I was just thinking as well. There was another one that I did on Audible only, and that was Last Shot by Daniel Jose Older.
That was a little tough to that one was probably the toughest one to listen to, because it took me the audiobook. I didn't realize the jump in times were done by different voices or different characters. So when I got probably an hour or two into the audiobook and started it back over because it was just a little, maybe a little bit, even a little bit longer because it was just a little confusing. You know, you could pick up and the story about how it went, but it didn't really change too much. Like there wasn't enough to make you notice or make you realize what happened
Yeah.
in it. To whatever. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was just me. I don't know. I don't. But I think I remember a couple of people saying that they might have had trouble with the audiobook just the way that it went. I don't know how it was actually reading it, if it was just going
No,
from
I
chapter
don't.
to chapter. I
It's probably like really like bold type 10 years ago, and but then if you're going through the audiobook, you take 2 seconds out, you can miss a lot.
Yeah.
I think I remember the first time I listened to it, and I completely missed that they were talking to a Gungan. And all of a sudden I just hear, oh, just a blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, oh, okay, no, rewind. Right. Okay, they're talking to a Gungan who is now taking the mick out of Gungans. Now I get it. But, someone starts talking to you at work and you're like, yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Which is why I prefer reading, because no one bothers me.
Yeah, there's a lot of times if I'm on the listening going on the way to work or whatever that I got to hit the 30-second rewind a couple of times to go back because something's happened. You're paying attention or just whatever. And, even with that, even listening to the book, it's it's like listen to music. You're sitting there listening to music, all of a sudden something happens, and you're like, okay. And then a minute or two later, you're like, wait a second, what was I just doing? Like, what happened?
Yeah. So I completely missed my favorite part of that song. Rewind.
Mm-hmm.
Although I will say, when I listened to, because I got the Last Jedi audiobook, and I actually had to go and hide at the back of the warehouse because right at the end where Leia is in the cockpit of the Falcon with Chewie, and it's like, we're the last two, it's just us now, and all that stuff, and I'm like, I'm gonna go and bawl at the back of the warehouse for like 5 minutes and then come back and be okay. But that was brutal.
Yeah, that was. See, I never really, even though I love Star Wars, I'm not one of those people that really ever gets choked up.
For me, it's when they hit the music notes just right.
Yeah.
And the audiobooks always get the music right for the moments, but, and this is a real bugbear for me, for the audiobooks of the novelizations, like they're coming out, because they're now coming out months later. Like, I don't want to hear Across the Stars when there's like some sort of romance going on between Han and Kira. I want to hear the Han and Kira music because that's the music that should be there. And because it's coming out, because they record it, like, because Mark Thompson was saying, oh God, Rick, don't even start on that one. I put the book down after that one because I was too emotional. Damn you, Will Wheaton, for writing such a good story. Like Mark Thompson said when he was doing, I can't remember, was it Rise of Skywalker or Last Jedi? He was recording it in early to mid January. The soundtrack's out. They have the soundtrack. They have the possibility of using the soundtrack. Why don't they use the soundtrack from the film? Because it's all prequel music. It's original trilogy, mostly prequel music. And it's like, it takes me out of it a little bit because I'm like, that's Anakin and Padme, or You know, that's Anakin Padme. That's the speeder chase through Coruscant. You know, this isn't the speeder chase through Corellia. You know, I want to hear. You know, I'm listening to the film. I want to hear the film. I want to hear this film, not I want to listen to this film and then be reminded that Obi-Wan and Anakin chased Sam Wessel. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
I mean, it's all probably down to rights. It's probably all down to who owns what at this point. You know, it's just one of those things that is a massive bugbear for me. But then when I'm listening to like Last Shot and I'm hearing all these other all the music from the different films, it doesn't bother me because they're just they're nailing it with the library, and it's more about the emotion rather than, you know, what you're meant to be seeing on screen. When I was doing media, everyone did like stupid films where people would chase each other around, and everyone used the Benny Hill theme, and my tutor actually banned us from using it after the first couple of weeks because everyone was using it.
Yeah. So, all right. So, what book do we have next coming up? We have
Clone Wars.
Clone Wars. I still need to do. I have an interview coming up with George Mann.
Oh yeah.
But that was there was some miscommunication because I was sent an email to confirm a date and I never got the email. So it was like, okay, so now we're starting the whole process over again. But, you know, at least I'm in there and they know me and they hopefully like me. So I was waiting to do a review of the book so I could kind of put them in together and put them out together or whatever. But we'll see, you know, what transpires in the next.
I still haven't read either of his. The Legends and the Dark Legends one. I've not read either of those yet.
Yeah, the Myths and Fables is really good, and that's why I'm expecting this to be. And you know, Johnny, I'm sure you watched my interview with him the first time, but you know, that's when I asked him. I said, you know, because he said that he wrote 20 stories, and I was like, well, are we going to get these other stories in another book? And he said, well, actually, some of them are coming out in the Dark Legends books, and you know, and then he talked about how in the literary panel that they did for Comic-Con, how he put in his stories. So I think some of these stories were used or were in the group that he put in the first time, but then he turned in, you know, the group of stories for this book, and they said, well, why don't you rewrite them a little bit scarier? Why don't you do them again? You know, let's see what happens. So, you know, he was yeah, he did them, and he was, you know, kept coming back for like, give me some more on that, give me some more stank on that bad boy. But you know, it's going to be, yeah, I don't want to talk about it too much right now because I know there's some people that haven't read it right now in the chat, so I don't want to go, including you, because you know, whatever. Not whatever to you. Somebody just sent me a message that showed up on my phone. I was like, yeah. But yeah, so maybe we can do this again for Clone Wars. We can start doing this.
I haven't gotten I haven't been able to get it. So I will be having to pick that one up when it arrives over here. But I've finally finished Shadowfall. That took me a while. Mainly because I'm not used to reading on Kindle, because Penguin Random House was sending them out through NetGalley instead of doing physical copies because of Yeah, no.
Yep.
But yeah, and so that arrived on Kindle. I'm not so keen on Kindle. I'll read it when I've got it. But also it was like in the midst of all this stuff with work, so it took me really long time to kind of get through. But needless to say, very enjoyable book. So yeah, and after this, Clone Wars and then Thrawn.
Yep. So we'll I don't think I'll be getting the Thrawn book because I don't. Is that I have I'm getting them from DK and from Disney Lucasfilm.
No, DK,
I think
that's Del Rey for you
that's
guys.
okay. So yeah, I don't think I'm going to be getting an advanced copy on that. So, but yeah, well, you and I will talk. We'll try and figure out getting another one of these going on for
Yes, definitely,
the
definitely.
books because I have the Clone Wars one and I just skimmed through it really quickly, just to take a look at it. And it's along the same lines of from a certain point of view. It's just different
Yeah,
characters telling different things. So it's enjoyable, fun. Not it's not a must read. For your canon junkies, but it's just fun to get a different point of view on whatever's going on.
yeah,
In
definitely. I
the
mean,
Star Wars world.
I'm looking forward to is it Zoraida Cordova who's doing the Maul story? That's the one that I am really looking forward to.
Mm-hmm.
And of course the Cad Bane story, Rick. Really looking forward to that one too.
I think I'll do some reading. Well, see, it's like maybe I should read a little bit of it on the Kindle right now, and it's like but I'm supposed to be getting the hard copy. So I got it. I got it sent to me on the Kindle, and I've just kind of skimmed through it. But I'll just wait till I get the hard copy. I should be getting that anytime soon.
Yeah. See, for us over here, like it's really we've got we don't get the young reader and the young the YA and the YRs at the same kind of time as you guys. It's all very wishy-washy. I don't think we've actually had Crash of Fate released over here yet because I've got it on my Amazon wish list and it keeps the release date keeps getting pushed back. So I don't think we've had it out here at all. So those are the ones that are really tough to kind of come across. So if I do come across them, I kind of leap at it. I think my copy of Queen's Peril, I think I ended up getting it sent from the States because I was able to get it pretty quickly. So yeah, it's release dates. That's why I kind of keep trying to keep up with NetGalley as much as possible so I can get the younger stuff sooner.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see on NetGalley because NetGalley does have they're not ready for print yet stories, so they're still editing. It needs to be done on some of them.
Yeah.
Some of the words are misspelled.
Yeah.
There's some punctuation errors.
Well, the Shadowfall I got Shadowfall, and that was the actual Kindle version
Okay.
that they just put up on NetGalley, but it was like a private link. So
Yeah.
I think it just depends on what point they are, and probably more publishers will be using it now to get the advanced reader copies out there.
Yeah.
Because of
it's not to mention the fact that it's a lot cheaper too.
Well, yeah.
So yeah, you don't have to worry about things getting messed up or whatever it is because of COVID and not being able to print up books and things like that.
And it's safer for getting COVID. It's safer. I mean, I had three books sent to me that never arrived. Absolutely never arrived until I changed my address. So yeah, I mean, like, the books getting lost in the mail. I mean, they're printing these books out. They're sending these hard copy books. I mean, I don't know how much they are over there, but like, we're talking 20. It's 20 quid a book here at retail. So they're probably, it probably costs them 10 quid to make. That's 60 quid that they've spent on just sending me 3 books, essentially. Yeah. So yeah, it's cheaper, and it's safer. It's not getting kind of either lost in the mail or unscrupulous postal workers picking them up. So you never know.
Did you ever get the package from me that I sent you?
Not yet.
Okay. It was weird because I'm trying to think. I sent those out a couple weeks ago, but Rez got his 2 days later.
Right.
And it took Rural Farm Boy, who lives only a couple hundred miles away from me, almost a week to get his. And so it was just funny that, but besides you that live outside of the United States, Rez lives the furthest away of anybody that got sent one, I think.
Right.
And his got there in 2 days, and other people's going from. I mean, mine would have gone. Rural's would have gone from New York City to Pittsburgh, and then from Pittsburgh to Rural Farm Boy, which maybe that's why I took the extra day or two going to the. I might have an extra stop or two to make, but it was so yeah. I'll look. I'll find the. I'll find the date on that because just make sure, see where it is. Somebody got some. Somebody got some merch.
When it gets here, I will let you know.
Well, that was funny too because Kylo Ren Flores sent myself and Kylo Customs a package. He's in Chicago. I'm in New York City. He got his, and it took a week. He had his. It was a week before I got mine. And it's just, I don't know what's going on with that. Yeah, yours was also actually a box and a package, so it might take a little bit longer. I know that there's been some slowdowns with the U.S. Post Office, and I've had the one I got from that she sent me got to New York City in a day. It just sat at the post office for a week before it got shipped to me for whatever reason, whether people aren't doing their jobs or people are upset or it got, was at the bottom. But that's happened with a lot of packages and stuff that aren't coming UPS or FedEx. But I did get, all right, I'll give a spoiler right here. I wasn't going to say anything until the Bacta tank. But for those of you that have hung out this entire show, one of the books that was on my list, my Grail list, that I've picked up during this lockdown thing, because I'm using my celebration money to buy some things if I can find good deals. And since I'm using celebration money, maybe I'm spending a little bit more than I wanted to, or that I said I was going to spend on certain books. That's why they've been on my list for so long. But it's like, that's what it would have cost me to go out and eat. That's what I was going to spend anyways. And that's what it would have cost me to, go out and eat a nice dinner at Celebration. So we'll just throw that money on there. I picked up another Art of book. The hardest art, or I wouldn't say the hardest one, but yeah, well, I guess it is the most expensive, so it is the hardest one. The Art of Clone Wars. I picked up.
Was that the one that you've been looking for a while?
Yeah, that's been on my list for a long time.
Well done.
and they came around on eBay. Somebody has been sitting on them because they came around on eBay, and like 4 or 5 of them came out, like new ones, and then there was some other used ones. So like they might not have the stuff and like the ancillary, like the extra add-on, like prints and things like this. But this one I picked up from the UK, and it was it went for the lowest price of any of the books that were being sold, but the shipping was 3 times as much. But I knew that going into it. But it was still, it was like I got the best bet was getting it shipped from the UK because whatever. But I think what happened is I think somebody came up with these books somehow out of nowhere. It was like, okay, I'm going to put them on eBay, and they're going for more than I wanted to spend on it. But this one I found over in the UK, and I don't know if it's used or not. I think it might be, but it says it has all the pictures and all the extra stuff in there. So, So for the Bacta Tank on Monday night, how I was doing the unboxing, we're gonna have a case of Rebels Black Series. 5 out of the 7 are in. The other 2 come in, I think, next month. I should check it. They should be sitting downstairs for me. They were supposed to be delivered today. I'm going to have that, and I'm going to have the book, the Art of Clone Wars. And then I think I'm probably going to have a little bit of time where I'm not going to have stuff every week to open. I mean, because I've had something open every week. I think I missed 1 week a couple weeks ago or a month ago. But since I've been doing it, I've had something open every week on the show, and sometimes it's like 7 or 8 books, and it's like, okay, I'll just open these up, because I'm getting them off of Amazon for really cheap, and then or Funkos or Black Series or whatever it was. And then I had I did the Advent calendar where I opened up a different Star Wars merch every day. That was 25 days in a row of opening stuff up. But I think we're getting to the point where the majority of my book list is pretty much there for what I want to spend. And Rick picked up the Old Republic Encyclopedia, and he got a good deal on it, cheaper than I've been able to find it. And that's where I was like, hey, that's what I want. That's the thing about when you're trying to get something off of eBay. I don't. It might have been the Clone Wars book. I told Rick, I was like, yeah, they have it for this much. And he's like, oh, that's a little bit more than I wanted to spend on. And I said, okay, well, I'll just let you know in the last minute it's going to double or triple in the price that it is, on there. And, it did. It went from, I think, 100 and it went from like 95 or 110 or whatever to like 230 in the last minute. Because those are like your experienced collectors or people that know that they can buy it for 230 and it's selling for 450. The only difference is right now, it was just kind of saturated with them for whatever reason. Like I said, the market was saturated with them, so they've been going. And so instead of getting 450 for them, they're all going for $200. But
I got myself a really nice deal last week.
What'd you do? Pick it out of the work?
No, it's not a book. Not a book. I got 4 retired Lego sets.
Really?
Yeah. For pretty much retail price for the 4 of them. So I got the Rebels Stormtrooper transport. I got the 2016 escape pod with 3PO, R2, and 2 Jawas. They're built. They're all done. They look very nice. Then one of the Carlos knows. I told Carlos about these, Rick. Then I got the shuttle Tidarium, the Imperial shuttle. That normally can go for about 200-300 quid. These days I got it for 100.
Nice.
And then the what this is the one that kind of made me see this, and it was all on Facebook Marketplace. The one that stood out for me, Ewok Village. Now that came out years ago. That's kind of, like the current UCS Death Star kind of with all the so think kind of that kind of, or not size, but that's that kind of set. I got that for 200, and I've seen that going for 300, 400, 500 over here. So I've need to start building the shuttle, and I need to dismantle the village, because that's going to be a project unto itself. But yeah, that was a deal and a half, and then I got screwed when we went to the Disney store afterwards for the kid.
If you want to see Jonny build those, I just ripped this down. If you want to see Jonny build those, go to patreon.com, My Star Wars Life Debt, and is that what it is?
Yeah.
My Star Wars Life Debt, and hit up Jonny's Patreon, and you can watch him build those.
Yeah.
He's in his underwear when he does them, but I guess that's why you're paying for Patreon.
That's why I always point the camera away.
But I guess that's why people sign up for his Patreon. He just doesn't those pics anyways, so
it's the semi nude Lego vlogs.
Yes. Very nice. Very nice.
I got away with saying it's not adult content when I say semi nude.
Nice. That's where I've been going wrong.
Oddly enough, this isn't the first time this kind of conversation I've had. My wife has also questioned.
Does your wife help you build the Legos?
God, no. God, no. I used the Lego to drown her out. Although she took to...
And all you people watching, that is at Life.Jonny for all of your complaints. You go ahead and at him for drowning his girlfriend, or his wife, I'm sorry.
We started getting a Lego for our daughter, getting the Frozen and the various Disney ones. After about 2 small ones, my kid just was like, I like playing with them, but the building's boring. So we've ended up buying more and more Lego for her, but my wife's built it. So I'm like, wait a minute. This is my thing. I do the Lego. But yeah, so when I kind of really kicked up a fuss, she says, right, we're just going to get you the Millennium Falcon. I'm like, okay.
John, do me a favor. Tell everybody why they should hop on your Patreon for a second.
You can get on my Patreon. So for there's 3 tiers, $1, $3, and $5. $1 tier gets you emails, guaranteed email reads on if you ever send me an email. Shout outs on podcasts if or when I'm doing them. The podcast's currently on hiatus at the moment, but I'm working on making it come back. So guaranteed email reads on podcasts, shout out on the podcast, thank you list on the blog itself. access to blog posts 24 hours early, and discount on merch store. $3, all of that, as well as you get weekly bite-sized reviews of Star Wars Rebels. I'm doing an entire Rebels rewatch. I'm currently just starting season 4. There's 51 episodes of that currently, so if you sign up now, you've got 51 wonderful reviews of Star Wars Rebels, and at the $5 tier, all of that, as well as commentaries. I'm doing commentaries on various things. So far, I've done how many? I've done 6 out of 8 episodes of Mandalorian, and I did the Siege of Mandalore, and yes, Raw Fanboy says Life Debt Lego vlog. That is current. Well, that's one of the 2 vlogs that I do on there. They are interchangeable because I was starting to run out of Lego to talk about. So you've got Life Debt Lego vlog and hashtag Collection Corner. One of them comes out on Friday. Just depends on the week. And whereas to go through Lego and it's like Lego reviews and reviews on other things in my collection, which currently is Black Series. And if I can just get the angle right, there's my Black Series collection doing its best. So yeah, and I mean, you can. I mean, of course, I'm gonna try and sell it as well as I can, but speak to Anthony. Anthony has been Patreon for a good long time now, and he seems to be enjoying it. So listen to Anthony. Anthony knows what he's doing.
He tells us he does anyways.
Sorry, Anthony, is that better? Am I speaking loud enough now?
I don't know what he's talking about. I hear you fine.
Okay.
Maybe he's joking. Maybe he's I don't know. Actually, I had to go run and grab another drink.
Fair enough.
So I was like, hey, let Johnny talk for a second. You know?
Nothing like some shameless self-promotion.
Not at all. So that's what it's all about.
Oh, volume on Patreon show. Yeah, I'll have a look into that.
All right. Well, I think that's probably gonna do it for today.
Yeah.
I was going to maybe throw the septic tank onto here at the end of it, but
yes, go listen to Jam Transmissions as well.
Yeah, I already said that. I said that at the beginning of the show. We might as well say it again. Yeah, you got Rick and Pete and sometimes Eden stopping by there, talking about the wars and whatnot. I don't have a T Public store yet, so I'll tell you, you go buy this shirt at Johnny's T Public shirt or store.
It's Teespring.
Teespring, okay.
Teespring.com/stores/the Life Debt Merch Cantina.
We got Salacious Rum, who's been making the rounds lately.
Yeah.
Does anybody know who Salacious Rum is?
He's Salacious Crumb's alcoholic younger brother.
Okay, I meant because I think he's probably one of our friends. I'm just not sure who.
I wonder. Part of me wondering if it's Pete doing some music on the side.
Have you ever seen Salacious Rum and Pete in the same chat?
Never. See, Pete left, and then Salacious Rum arrived.
No, Salacious Rum has been around for a couple of weeks now, at least, I think. And hanging out in the chats and coming in, but seems to come in my chats lately the last couple of times. So I'm just trying to figure out who is it? Who is it? Because just maybe it is just some rando person that happened to find our group of Star Wars YouTube podcast chats or whatever.
Our own fun brand of whimsy.
Yeah. But there's also probably a better chance that we know who this person is, and they're just out there doing their thing. And
quite likely.
Yeah, I think that's gonna do it for today. I was gonna do a little septic tank after this, but I think I'm gonna go maybe watch a movie with the wife. See what's up.
I'm probably gonna go to bed. It's gone midnight now.
Yeah, it was 1 a.m. for you?
No, just gone midnight. So it'll be
That's what I was talking about. So you're 4 hours ahead right now.
I think so.
Oh no. Okay, you're 5 hours.
Yeah,
5.
Yeah.
Okay, I was doing the math wrong, but yeah, that's why I was confused because normally you're to dox you. You're in London.
I think we'll be +1 next time the clocks change.
Your London time.
Yeah.
But Greenwich Mean, it's right now. London's Greenwich Mean +1.
Right. Okay.
Usually Greenwich Mean and London are the same.
Yeah.
But when I say usually, I mean I guess that's in the winter.
Yeah.
So in the fall, you'll change your clocks back, right? November, you do the same as we do, I believe.
Yeah. For us, it's mid to late October.
Okay.
I think there's like a couple of weeks difference between us as well on it as well, which is really confusing.
Okay. So in the
October, November time.
Yeah, you're gonna switch your clocks back an hour.
Yeah.
Which makes you then the same as Greenwich Mean Time.
Yeah.
And then you'll be 4 hours ahead of us for a couple weeks.
And
then you'll be 5 hours, but the same as Greenwich Mean. Okay. It's just you gotta. I mean, it's just weird because you gotta check it every now and then, or you'll find out that something crazy is happening. Or
well, can you remember that first week? The first time I did a live chat was around the time that the clocks changed, and I got it completely mixed up. So I started at 10, and I think you came on at about 11 because of the time that we sorted out was like squiffy, and I was like, well, I'll just talk for an hour anyway, and then we'll talk for another hour.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's I just do what the clocks tell me.
Yeah, I understand.
9 times out of 10, I either get a message from my mum saying, "Don't forget the clocks change," or I'll wake up and I'll be like, "It's a bit dark for 4 a.m." So then I have to check it, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, okay."
We need somebody to stay on top of this for us. Because I was gonna put it at when I did 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I was gonna do 10 p.m. Greenwich GMT Greenwich Mean Time.
Yeah.
Which would have been not 10 o'clock for you. It would have been 11 o'clock.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just said to you, look, I'll be around. I was going to keep my eye out on on Twitter, because if I thought, right, if it gets to like 10:15 and he's messaging me saying, "Where are you?" I was like, ah.
Well,
So
that's why the final message after, like, we talked for a little while. I was like, it's gonna be 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. You figure out what time that is.
no,
So I
I try and keep on top of it now, because every time I see you come up say, right, it's going to be like, I'm doing a stream at this time, and I look at it and I add 5 and I'm like, will I be awake? Is there a possibility I'll be awake? If I'm awake, I'll have a look. If I'm asleep, then
well, that's like my I was doing the box tank at 8:30,
yeah,
and I was actually getting more people. I was getting more views, but not having the watch time. So people were just coming in
right,
and checking out and see. But that's also, and then COVID started too. So a lot more people started doing streams and things like that. So whether they're doing their own or watching other people's, I'm not really sure. But I moved the time back because Tatooine and Son started doing had their
yes,
show on Facebook, and they were doing theirs at 8 o'clock. And I was like, well, I want to watch their show, so I'm going to move mine back an hour. And I like it there now because I usually do Rebel Scum from 7 to 8, and then I was doing my show at 8:30. But I do their show, and their show gets done about 8:10, whatever. It's usually an hour, but sometimes it goes longer.
yeah,
I got to take the dog out for a walk, get something to drink, use the bathroom, whatever it is. I'm rushing around to get on. Now it's just like, okay, now I have that little extra time.
yeah,
And I'm still getting the same number of views. I'm not getting as many views at the time when it's on, but they're just watching later on.
yeah,
Which, if I could get everybody to watch all at once and be here, and then nobody watch afterwards, that would make me the happiest, because then it would be all friends in the chat all the time. Give me my 100 people in the chat, at one time. Make me really happy, and then nobody watch the rest of the week because everybody was in the chat. But it's about I get about it really depends. I get like 40 to 60 views. I get 30 to 60. That's 30 to 60 views while I'm on. There's a few people that are on the entire time. There's some people that are just checking in or doing whatever. Some people just click on and say, oh, this is bullshit, I don't like it, and leave. And then I get another 30 to 60 afterwards, in that week going, and that week afterwards. But they always end up being around 100 or 120 is what they end up being, give or take, 2 weeks or so. Some of them a little bit lower, some of them a little bit higher. It's like I have one, I think, that I did a couple weeks ago, 3 weeks or a month ago, that's sitting at about 80 or 90. I got one that I did either the week before or the week after, that's at about 200. So just kind of depends on who it is and what it's doing. It's the same thing, like they were talking about downloads the other day for their podcast, and I was like, I feel really good because these people that I thought were getting a lot more downloads on their podcast, I'm getting a lot more views on my show. How many people are actually just watching it and not staying for it, I don't really know. Also the numbers get skewed because let's say somebody's like, oh, I'm going to watch Michael's show, and they watch the first half hour and then turn it off, and then they come back, an hour later the next day and watch the next half hour. And they break up. Well, that's going to give me 4 views, and it's going to tell me my watch time's a half hour long. But I don't know if it's one person watching 4 times for a half hour, or 4 different people watching for a half hour, or 2 people watching the entire thing at one time, and then 2 people just turn it on and off. But that sort of thing with the downloads. Like if you use Podbean automatically downloads it for you, so it counts as a download even if people haven't listened to it. Anchor counts it if people have actually listened to it. So it depends. Those numbers can be skewed too. I just it's all in fun. I did find. Have you ever heard of Live It?
I've seen you posting about it.
So it's basically like it's like Periscope or Instagram Live. But it started, I guess it's a couple of years old, but it was really big in like Japan or like Taiwan or whatever it was. And I started doing that, but it's weird because it's like I could stream on it, but I'm not a verified streamer, so I don't go up on the leaderboard. So only the people that can
Right.
see me, the only people that know that I'm streaming are people that follow me.
Right. Okay.
But like once I get verified, I'll go up on the leaderboard, and then like it will show on the board that I'm there. So when somebody signs on, they'll like if I was to sign on right now, I'd see all the people that are on there or that are
Yeah.
not that are on there, but that are on the leaderboard. The leaderboard's just who's ever verified. And I can go and click on them and see whatever's going on. It's just something different because I want to try and start doing. I don't know. I've been doing some YouTube streams or whatever. I want to try and get YouTube more like Star Wars and keep it more Star Wars.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, just try and because I've done a couple streams that aren't Star Wars or like the other day I went to go pick up Funko Pops
Yep.
from the store, and I did a stream on my way walking there, and I could probably get on this other platform. It's just like what some people like right now. This is streaming on because I'm using StreamYard. This is streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch.
Right.
Although I don't think I ever changed the Twitch account, so it still says that it's Monday's Box of Tank on there. But just I was like, okay, so I pulled up YouTube and I talked to a couple people I wanted to go pick up the Funko Pops. But I could have done it on Periscope. I could have done it on Instagram. It's just something different. I'm going to try out and see what it's like. And and you can make a couple dollars on it. So it's like, yeah. So get some other ad revenue, but it's like people watch it. So like when I'm sitting here, I need to start once I get my computer back. I need to start. I want to start editing more. Like take because when I started doing the Box Tank put into podcast, I was just putting it on there. Now I'm just putting the whoever the featured guest is, I'm just putting them on there.
Yeah.
And that's what it is, because somebody sees a 3-hour stream, they're like, fuck this, I'm not gonna watch that or listen to it. I'm not but if it's an hour and a half, they're gonna listen to it because they know that it's like an interview. And if they want to watch the entire thing,
they can just jump on and
they can go and watch it on here. But I'm gonna actually take the time then, and I think I'm gonna do it on Monday. I do my Monday show, then I have Tuesday and Wednesday to cut it in half, edit it, and then try and make it a little bit cleaner and try and get rid of some of the breaks. Or I hate listening to myself because I say a lot. I've gotten away from saying a lot of the other saying like I think I've gotten away from saying a lot, but in order for me to get away from saying I say so I'm kind of changing one for the other, and making a conscious effort not to say but then I'm saying, well, and things like that. So it's like as I listen to them, being able to work on getting rid of those, and just cutting those out, those little couple little second here and there or whatever, and just making it sound better for. And I also think if you're watching me and I say, it doesn't seem like a big deal, but if you're listening, I think that it's a bigger thing.
Yeah.
But also when other people do it, it doesn't bother me. When I do it, it drives me crazy.
Yeah, I went through a thing where I would say so all the time. So so I would say that, and so that's become like the thing that I really try to avoid saying, because if I ever listen back at it, I'm like, oh, why do you keep saying so? I know when I was writing scripts, like I'll try and like write as I would speak. Trying to write in a way that I know how people speak, and so many lines starting with "so." I'm like, right, no, edit. So that was one thing like I really, really tried when I was doing the podcast to avoid saying, mainly because it annoys me.
Yeah. But yeah, I just think that if you when so like this isn't that bad. That's the other thing too. If someone's listening, like you and I talking back and forth right now, if someone's watching us, they can see that we're looking at the chat. That's why we stopped talking. And then I'm trying to formulate a thought why I'm reading it, and I'm like, well, so okay, and it's like that makes sense watching it. But if you're listening to it, you're going to be like, this guy just have a stroke. What's wrong with him?
Yeah. He just went. It's like that moment of dead air. Like the amount of times that I've listened to stuff and like someone hasn't cut out like that one chunk of dead air. They've done really well like the rest of the episode, that they've missed that one bit. And I'm like checking my headphones. I'm like, are you plugged in? Is it still playing? And then, oh, there we go.
Yep. So yeah, whenever I get my computer back, we're looking at the 17th, 19th, something like that. So another 10 days away. And
good Lord.
Yeah. And I mean, that's I talked about it in the beginning. They were going to let me go, like trade that one in for a different computer. And I have memory sitting there for them to put in the new computer. And I have drives for them to put in the new computer. The drives aren't compatible with it. So I would need to take the drives back, send them back because I got them from Amazon, send it back to Amazon, have Amazon refund me the money so I could go get, I could walk away from the computer right now. But then I have to take the computer back to get the upgrades done anyways. So it's like, how long is that going to take? It's going to be there for another 3 or 4 days anyways. So I'm going to come home with a computer tonight. Well, it would be tomorrow now. But go pick up a computer on Sunday, and then I have to worry about returning it and everything. It's just like, and it's the big difference is I can't get another 17.3 inch screen because in order for me to be able to swap out the computers, Best Buy has to have it, or one of the stores. Yeah. One of the stores around there has to have it. They can't order a computer for me to go get. Like, they can't order a computer and be like, okay, it'll be here Tuesday for you to swap out. Like, it has to be something they have in the store. And they don't have any 17.3 inch. And that was the big thing. I wanted the bigger screen for gaming.
Well, yeah.
And that's really what it comes down to. So I was going to Earl's at 1.5 speed. Oh, he's slow, dude. I'm at 2.
I'm normally at 1.5, but how do you listen to 30 shows in a day at 1.5? Fair enough.
There's one of them that I was using for a little while. I can't go above 2. Well, I didn't even try. I tried for a couple of them to see if I could go above 2. One of them goes to like 3 or 3.5. But yeah, that's just. I mean, I guess me listening at 2 is like some people saying, I don't know how you listen to 2. I don't understand how people can listen at 3. But everybody's teach their own. Everybody's a little bit different. So,
I was doing some decorating, and I had I think I was listening to Tumbling Saber, and had it at 1.5. And my wife comes in and she's like, how fast do you listen to this? I'm like, I was at 1.5, like completely normal. And she's like, I can't do it. I can't. How do you do it? I can't do that. And I'm like, I listen to everything at 1.5 because I can't listen to it slowly. Like now I struggle. Like if I'm listening to a podcast, I struggle with people talking at their normal speed.
Yeah. if my headphones turn off or I take them out or I take them out of my ears and I put them in the case to recharge, and the phone then automatically turns onto the speakerphone. It drives Danielle crazy. Like it's like listen to Alvin and the Chipmunks, on a 78 when it should be 33.
I've hooked my phone up to my wife's car, so every now and again, like we'll get in the car and it'll come on, and like whatever podcast I'm listening to, it's like, so blah, 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 blah. She's like, get it off.
Yep, that's the same way it is here.
Sometimes now I just do it to mess with her.
Yeah,
I'm brave.
Brave man. Sleeping on the couch. Well, all right, Johnny.
Or a fool.
I wasn't gonna say it. I like to. Where's Rez? Rez isn't here today.
He was about earlier.
I haven't been able to be mean to him.
Maybe he's being really quiet. He doesn't want to get banned for like the millionth time this week.
Oh, let's see. Who did I ban from Alberto's show, Radio Rebellion? I banned Rez, Dave from Pizza and Park Sucks, and Alberto. Rural Farm Boy got threatened to be banned, I think. Rural Farm Boy almost got banned in this chat. So my as soon as I get my computer back and I can do my website and get my TeePublic or Teespring working, I have the 2med2 t-shirt that's going to come up. And then I have the I Do Not Collect Funko Pops t-shirt going to come up. And, leave that on there for whatever it is, 3 months or whatever it happens to be, or a month or two, whatever. And then the one that came up today, because Rez said it, he said it's I got another one that I'm gonna put out with the 2med2 thing. It's gonna be 2med2's band camp.
I was gonna ask, are you just gonna get the official 2med2 band list, and it's like just a list of like just Rez all down the back. Rez and what date?
I'll keep track of dates, but that would be another good one. I could pretty much Rez would be about 40 of them. Pete would be about 6 or 8.
Ooh.
Alberto would be about 6 or 8. Rural Farm Boy's a couple of them on there.
He wants the band camp sticker.
I got to work on that one. We got the name down. I got to figure out the sticker now.
Yeah.
For it, and then the sticker's the same as the T-shirt. But or maybe that would be I don't know. We'll figure it out because we got the I know I talked about it before. We're doing the tiers for
the
Patreon, and it's going to be just the $2 tier because I'm keeping them at what people are already doing.
Yeah.
So I have a $2 tier. That's just going to be like, thanks for supporting me, whatever. The $5 tier, thanks for supporting me, and you'll get something, special. The $10 tier is going to be every 6 months you get a stim pack, so you get merch, whether it's stickers or this last one that went out were stickers and magnets and keychains, and that went out to all my patrons, just to say, hey, thank you for supporting me. Here's some stuff for you, and starting next month we're gonna have tiers. It was supposed to go in April, but I didn't have a computer back and had some other stuff going on. I just couldn't get it done. So they're gonna start September. So that's gonna be the $10 one. It's gonna be merch, and then sometimes maybe there's maybe a little, and that's the whole thing. It's like not every person, maybe there's going to be a little extra for some people versus others, and
Yeah.
it just depends. It's also my way of, let's say someone helps me out with something. They're one of my patrons, and they help me out with something, and I send out my my stem packs for the patrons. They might get a little extra something in there that other people didn't get. It's not because they're getting extra for that patron tier. It just happens to be that they're getting stuff sent out as a patron, and I'm giving them a little extra for something completely different. It's just getting mailed out at the same time. And that's going to be the $10 tier, and then the $20 tier is going to be a T-shirt tier, and every 6 months you get a new T-shirt sent to you, and then that will be like an exclusive T-shirt that you will get,
right?
And then maybe it will go on to TeePublic at some point in time, or maybe it won't, and we'll just stay. We'll have to see. We'll have to decide on what it is, or but you're gonna get at least a free custom T-shirt, and it might be one of a kind or one of only for that group. You have to see how things go, and one time it might be. I mean, I'm talking about like in 3 years from now, whatever. If I'm still haven't been shut down yet.
Put yourself on your own banned list.
Yeah, I banned myself. Rick, DM me your address. I'll send you some stuff. I got a bunch of stickers I'm sending out to people and things. I just I was waiting because I sent out all the patron stuff, and I wanted to give it a little bit of time for them to get theirs. So now I got a list of people that I've been telling people, DM me your address, and nobody ever does. So a lot of this stuff is, they all say, "Oh, I want some stickers." Okay, you got to DM me your address, or I want this. I want that. You DM me your address. I can't give it to you if I don't know where you live. But yeah, I have I can't say everybody because I had people that sent me stuff. I had their addresses, and I lost half of them. Got misplaced.
Oh.
So Rick wants the shelf behind me. Yeah, that's I
can see 3 on there that I definitely would take. I'd just take some of them Funkos off your hand because I know you don't collect them.
I don't collect them. But that's why you should check your package.
Well, I'll just show you one thing that I did get a couple of weeks ago, and this is a spoiler because this one is not going to be shown for another couple of weeks. So, to everyone in the chat and watching, my lovely wife picked up this little beauty for me.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's a glorious little one, and just some of that. I mean, some of the detail on there just looks absolutely fantastic. But not this week. Week after the Rebels crew is done, that's going to be on the show. So have a look for that when that comes in.
I took this one out of the box and did a review of it.
Did you?
Yeah, I put it back in the box though.
For me, this was one that I think that I saw it in the box. We were at the toy store, and it was in the box, and I really didn't like the look of it in the box. But then it arrived, and I'm like, well, this has got to come out of the box. It's coming out of the box anyway. So I took it out of the box, and it's just infinitely much more glorious.
They look so much better out of the box, man.
They totally do. They really do.
And I was, so, yeah, because I've been doing the reviews of them, and recently of whatever I have new coming in. So it's like the last one I did was Baby Yoda with the cup, the Amazon trooper. He's got fire coming out of his butt. The Amazon Sith jet trooper.
Ah, yes, the convention exclusive one.
Yeah.
Or should have been convention exclusive.
Yeah. And then there was the Han Solo Funko, not Funko, the Han Solo Black Series Carbonite one. That one. So it was like those three. And then the day before, I had another set of them. And then the day before, I had, it was the Cotere Funko Pops. And then I had the case of Wave, I think it's 25 of the Funko Pop or of Black Series come in.
Is that the Obi-Wan Anakin?
Yeah. Kit Fisto.
Yeah.
Battle Droid. Yeah. And then I have another list of some other ones that I didn't pick up around the same time that somebody's looking for them for me. The Rebels should be in. It was supposed to be delivered today, so if it's not downstairs, I haven't heard the doorbell ring, so it might be coming later on, or the door might have been open and I just left it there, but I don't really know. But I mean, I don't think I'm going to do anything tomorrow, posting wise, because with and then the notebook I've been using, I've destroyed it. It's not meant for video editing and streaming and everything. So it's just I don't know. Maybe it would have gone anyways, but now the keyboard doesn't work. Now it won't even turn on. The more time that goes on, the worse it gets. With it takes 2 times to turn it on. To now, it's like yesterday I tried for about 4 hours straight, just sitting there watching TV. Turn it on, turn it off. Nope, corrupted. Okay. So I don't even. And then it turned on today. And I was like, all right. And then I didn't use it, so it turned off. And I went to go turn it back on, and it was done again. I tried for another couple hours to get on. So it's like, it's like the thumbnail that I used for this.
Yeah.
I had to download the app to do the thumbnail on my phone to do it.
Oh God.
So it's just it's good. Yeah, it's
I did do everything on my phone, pretty much, but now I have started using the computer a bit more, because I'm basically just eating my phone's memory all the time. So it's just easier now just to put it all into Google Drive or something, download it onto the computer, and then just be like, done.
Yeah, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, now I figured out. So it's like, it's going to be 8:00 here, which I know it's 2 a.m. for you now, but it's
it's only half midnight. Only half midnight. It's not even bedtime yet.
I need to get the thumbnail done for Blue Bantha is on the box tank.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, I don't know if you've been paying attention or not over there across the pond, but so August is Australia month in the box tank.
I did see was it Josh Chapman?
Yeah.
Last time,
yeah. And then Blue Bantha is going to be on next Monday, or this Monday coming up. Mike from It's True is going to be on, and then Dodie from Shaken Not Nerd is going to be on.
I've not heard of that one.
It's like the Australian version of the Sith List, kind of.
Okay.
but not really Star Wars driven. More just like more movies and video games.
So, but and of course, less King Tom and less Eric Strothers. So
yes, yeah. And then the last week, there's at least one person coming on, if not two different people coming on from different podcasts.
Oh.
I'm still leaving a little sizzle on that, though.
Was that a hint?
No, I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Because that could be one I might push myself to stay up for.
Well, that one's actually going to be a late one because
or wake up early for.
Yeah, one of the guests can't come on until late.
Right.
And then, so what I'm waiting for the other one to confirm. But I'll probably have a guest on early at 9:30,
mm-hmm.
and then somebody else coming on at 11 o'clock because the one person can't come on until 11 o'clock my time, which would be 4 o'clock your time.
I'm quickly doing the math. I'm like just sat here under the table counting on my fingers just to like, what time will that be?
So yeah, do the. So I was like, yeah, that's
and be awake.
That's fine. You come on, whatever. And I was like, well, I had this other person that I talked to, and I was like, hey, you want to come on early? I can do like an early one and a late one, and just have like instead of doing like an hour and a half interview, just like a 4-hour, two different people one, to close it off. And we'll see what happens. The one person is confirmed, so they can't come on until 11 o'clock, and the other person said that they still have to let me know once it gets closer. So, but I mean, the way I look at it is, even if I can't get the one person on earlier, I still do my regular show.
Second.
Yeah, I do my regular show from 9:30 to 11 when they come on, where I just talk about whatever and open up some merch and chat with some people, and they come on, and then my show usually goes from 9:30 till 12 o'clock anyways. So what's it different if I do it from, instead of having the guest on first, I just have them on at the end. It ends up being the same thing. So. But all right, dude. I think that's going to do it for today. I got some stuff I got to do, run around. I'm going to go, if you're still on here and you're watching this live, check out Darth Lunga's stream at it's 9 Central, so 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Or if you're Jonny Orme, it's going to be 3 in the morning. 3 o'clock in the morning over in jolly old London. And hang out there, and maybe you can win some video games and shit. So yeah, with that, I say good day. Oh, hey, now that you can't find them, Jonny, tell everybody where to find you.
MyStarWarsLifeDebt.wordpress.com, Twitter at LifeDebtJohnny, as you can see right there. Pretty much, head on over there. Patreon.com/MyStarWarsLifeDebt and teespring.com/stores/the Life Debt Merch Cantina. And there's other social media stuff, but if you go on the website, it's all there.
All right. With that, I say good day.
And good day.
Thank you, everybody in the chat. May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you all.